Daf Yomi Tractate Shavuot, page 14a, top of the page, with the words Betumas Mikdash V'Kedasha Bameh Heim Mechaprim. For their defiling of the temple or its sacrificial foods, through which means then do they achieve atonement for this? Mutav sheyitchaperu beparo shel Aharon שהרי הותר נקלע לו אצל ביתו ואל יתחפרו בשעיר הנעשה בפנים שהרי לא הותר נקלע לו. It is through the internal goat. They're asking for the defiling of the temple or its sacrificial foods, through which means do they achieve atonement for this? Is it through the internal goat or the bull of Aaron? It is better to say that they achieve atonement through the bull of Aaron. We're talking about the priests now, I think, yeah. As in any event, with regard to his household, an exception was made to its rule that it atones only for Aaron. And one should not say that they achieve atonement through the goat whose blood presentation is performed inside the sanctuary, as it is not found that with regard to Aaron's household, an exception was made to its rule. Okay. V'im nafshach lomar harein omer Beit Aharon Baruch Hashem. Okay, just want to make one comment here. This is a little bit off the wall, but it's what I'm trying to do with this daf now, these days. It's like I had a few ideas about a name, how to call it, a name to call it. Like either prophetic daf, or prophet, or like prophet, like prophetic vision, or seeing your life in the daf, and every daily daf to be able to see things that happen in life. Like today is Wednesday, and I'm reading the daf for tomorrow, and I go into a place, it's a pizza place, and there's different pizzas there. They're like nice, special made pizzas that have different things on it, and someone gives a suggestion and says, I suggest this pizza with, I forgot what kind of vegetables and goat cheese and some other stuff. So it's like, wow, goat cheese. I don't usually eat stuff with goat cheese. And now I'm reading about the first thing on the daf. It says, achieve atonement through the goat. Even though it's mentioned in previous dafim, but specifically in the beginning of this daf, it says goat. So goat cheese and goat, it's connected, it's in a daf. Okay, not only that, but then the person said, wants to get a canned drink. So, usually they don't suggest what you're going to have. He said, you're going to have a Sprite. Are you going to have a Sprite? I said, I'll probably have some can of something. But if you think about it, the word Sprite is the word priest. An anagram, same letters, S-P-R-I-T-E, are the same letters as P-R-I-E-S-T. And so there's another connection that this person suggests a Sprite, says the word, and goat cheese, and it's right here in the daf. I'm talking the first line. Aaron the priest, and they were talking about how do priests achieve atonement for defilement of sacrificial foods. Now, if people saw the daf, their life in the daf like that, I think the daf would have another level of interestingness. That's what I'm trying to achieve, and I can't get it on every single line, but when they come up, it's good to mention it. The time is 3:14 p.m. And if it is your wish to say, that this reasoning can be refuted. One can bring another proof, as it states, House of Aaron, bless the Lord, which is referring to all priests, and not just to Aaron's immediate household. And so it is reasonable that Aaron's bull should atone for them. He priests, right? The Gemara clarifies the last part of the Braita. And what possible refutation is the Braita referring to when it says, if it is your wish to say that this reasoning can be refuted? The Gemara explains, and if you would say of the preceding proof that it is incorrect to suggest that all priests achieve atonement from the bull of Aaron, as with regard to the item his household, Leviticus 16 verse 6, we read that last week, last Shabbos, it is written, which suggests that it atones only for his immediate family, then this can be refuted, as all of the priests are collectively referred to as his household, as is evident from that which is stated, House of Aaron, bless the Lord. House of Levi, bless the Lord. Those who fear the Lord, bless the Lord. V'hai asher la'am lachi hu de'asa hai mi boyele kom rachman midam leheve hahu miumei sadas b'nei Yisrael nafko. The Gemara questions some of the expositions of the Braita. And with regard to this phrase, goat of the people, again, here's the goat again, goat cheese. Goat of the people, Leviticus 16:15. Does it come to teach that which the Braita teaches, meaning that the priests do not achieve atonement through it? But that phrase is necessary to teach that the Merciful One states that the goat must be purchased with funds collected from the people. The Gemara refutes this. That requirement is derived from the verse, and from the assembly of the children of Israel he shall take 2 goats. Leviticus 16, verse 5. V'hai asher lo lehachi hu de'ata. Lehachi hu de'ata. The Gemara asks further, and with regard to this phrase, his own bull sin offering, Leviticus 16, verse 6, does it come to teach that which the Braita teaches, meaning that it atones only for Aaron's transgressions, not for transgressions of others? But that phrase is necessary for that which is taught in a Braita the high priest brings, and he purchases the bull from his own funds, but he does not bring it from the funds collected from the public. יכול לא יביא משל ציבור שאין הציבור מתחברים בו, אבל יביא משל אחיו הכהנים שאחיו הכהנים מתחברים בו, תלמוד לומר אשר לא יכול לא יביא, ואם הביא כשר תלמוד לומר שוב אשר לא, הכתוב שנה עליו להקל. One might have thought that he does not bring it from funds collected from the public because the public does not achieve atonement through it, but he may bring it from the funds belonging to his brethren the priests, because his brethren the priests achieve atonement through it. To counter this, the verse states his own bull sin offering, to indicate that he must purchase it using only his own funds. One might have thought that he should not bring it from others' funds, but nevertheless, if he did it, it would still be valid. To counter this, the verse again states his own. The verse repeats the phrase to render the requirement essential. Tanya achi ka kashile ma'ishna binam delo mikapri Deloka chasri bememoina, dichsi vashelam, bedaron nami, loka chasri bememoina, ikama kulan kruin beto. If both mentions of the phrase his own are necessary to teach about the ownership of the bull, how can the above Braita suggest that the phrase indicates that the bull atones only for the high priest's transgressions? The Gemara explains this is what is difficult for the Tana of the Braita. What is different about the goat of the people that it explains why it does not atone for the priests? The difference is that the priests did not forfeit any money over the purchase of it. Therefore, it does not atone for the priests, but only for the Israelites, as it is written with regard to the internal goat of the people. With regard to the bull of Aaron as well, the priests do not forfeit any money over the purchase of it, so it follows that they should not achieve atonement through it. And therefore, to explain why they do achieve atonement, the Braita states that all of the priests are collectively referred to as his household. Bishlam Shimon, Haydu dichtiv, Treviduin, Vidama Chad keneged Tzorianas Rifnim, Echad keneged Tzorianas Bechutz, Echad keneged Tzira Mishtaneha. The Gemara returns to its discussion of the dispute between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon. The Gemara asks, granted, according to Rabbi Shimon, who holds that the priests do not achieve atonement through the scapegoat. That is why it is written in the Torah that 2 confessions are to be recited over the bull, and that the blood of the bull is to be presented inside the sanctuary. Of these 3 forms of atonement, one corresponds to the atonement provided by the goat, whose blood presentation is performed inside the sanctuary. One corresponds to the atonement provided by the goat, whose blood presentation is performed outside the sanctuary. And one corresponds to the atonement provided by the scapegoat. Ela l'Rav Yehuda, treviduina v'dama parlamali, v'hai vidui v'damo sanya. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, who holds Sagya, not Sanya, Sagya, that was Sagya, right? Means enough, sufficient. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, who holds that the priests do achieve atonement through the scapegoat, why do I need the 2 confessions recited over the bull and the blood of the bull to be presented inside the sanctuary? One confession over the bull and its blood being presented inside the sanctuary would be sufficient. Echad lo ve'echad lebeito, k'edetad Rabbi Yishmael, kach imidas adin noeges, mutav yavo zakay v'chaper al chayav, v'al yavo chayav v'chaper al chayav. The Gemara answers 2 confessions are necessary. One for the high priest himself, and one for his household, meaning the priests, as the school of Rabbi Ishmael taught. The high priest must first confess his own transgressions, and only afterward those of the priests, because that is how the attribute of justice functions. It is better that the innocent come and atone for the guilty. Let's read that again. It is better that the innocent come and atone for the guilty than the guilty come and atone for the guilty. When the high priest confesses the transgressions of those in his house, it is better that he already be considered innocent, having confessed and been absolved of his own transgressions. We finished the first paragraph, yeah. I think so. Shevuos, Shtayim, yeah. And now we continue on to the second parak, I believe. Yes, I want to make sure that's correct. See here. Shtayim shehein alba, 2 that are 4. See here. Let's have a look. Shevuos Shtayim, Shevuos Shtayim, Yep, we finished the first parak of Shevuos Shtayim. We continue on to the second parak of Yediot HaTumah. New parak, second parak. Yediot HaTumah. Zok the Holy Mishnah, the Holy Mishnah says, Yediot HaTumah Shtayim Shein Alba. Nitma v'yada v'ne'alma mimenu HaTumah v'zachur et HaKodesh. With regard to cases of awareness of the defiling of the temple by entering it while one is ritually impure, or defiling its sacrificial foods by partaking of them while one is ritually impure, there are 2 types. There are actually 4. How so? If one became ritually impure and he was aware that he was impure, but afterward his impurity was hidden from him, though he remembered that he was partaking of sacrificial food, which was forbidden to one who is in the state of ritual impurity, this is one of the 4 types of awareness of impurity. And we go on to a different case. If the fact that he was partaking of sacrificial food was hidden from him, though he remembered the ritual impurity that he had contracted, this is the second of the 4 types of awareness of impurity. And the same halacha applies if both this and that were hidden from him. Both the fact that he was impure and the fact that he was partaking of sacrificial food. In all these cases, if he partook of the sacrificial food and was unaware either that he was impure or that the food was sacrificial food, or both, and after he partook of it, he became aware of that which he had forgotten, he is required to bring a sliding scale offering. In this type of offering, the sinner sacrifices an animal, a bird, or meal offering, depending on his financial status. And similarly, with regard to entering the temple, if one became ritually impure and he was aware that he was impure, but afterwards his impurity was hidden from him, means he forgot, though he remembered that he was entering the temple, which is prohibited for one who is in a state of ritual purity. This is the third of the 4 types of awareness of impurity, if the fact that he was entering the temple was hidden from him. Though he remembered the ritual impurity that he had contracted, this is the 4th type of awareness of impurity, and the same halacha applies if both this and that were hidden from him, both the fact that he was impure and the fact that he was entering the temple. In all these cases, if he entered the temple and was unaware either that he was impure or that he was entering the temple, or both, and after he left he became aware of what was hidden from him, he is required to bring a sliding scale offering. As for the boundaries of the temple, with regard to the halachot of impurity, the same halach applies to one who enters the area that was part of the original temple courtyard, and to one who enters the latter addition of the temple courtyard, because the additional section is sanctified with the full sanctity of the temple courtyard, the Mishnah notes. as additions can be made to the city of Jerusalem or to the temple courtyards only by a special body comprising the king, a prophet, the Urim and Thummim, and the Sanhedrin of 71 judges, and with 2 thanks offerings, and with a special song. Once the addition to the courtyard is made by this body and this process, it is given the full sanctity of the original courtyard area. Ubeistin mehalchin ushte toidos achreihen b'chol Yisrael achreihen. The Mishnah provides certain details on the consecration ceremony, and the court would move forward, and 2 thanks offerings would be brought after them, and all of the Jewish people would follow behind them. Continuing on to 14b. 14b, top of the page, with the words Hapanimit Nechelet. Hapanim is Nechelet V'Rezoin Esrefes. B'chol Shlenas B'chol Eilu Nichos Hashem El Chai V'Leho. And Nichos Hashem El Chai, that when they would reach the end of the place, they desired to consecrate, the inner thanks offering would be eaten and the outer one would be burned. The details of this ceremony will be described in the Gemara. And with regard to any addition to the temple that was not made with all these ceremonial procedures, one who enters there while ritually impure is not liable to bring an offering if his entry was unwitting, nor to be punished with karet, extension for the world to come, if his entry was intentional. Nitma ba'azara v'ne'elam mimenu tumah b'zacha mikdash. That's a mikdash. V'ne'elam mimenu mikdash b'zacha b'atumah. Ne'elam mimenu zeh ishtacha. Ve'osheh haya b'chdei ishtacha v'bali lo be'arucha chayva. Tzarapatum. The first part of the Mishnah discussed one who became ritually impure. I mean, again, the same question I have here is by Pigel. How do you know what they're? I mean, Pigel. It's been said that the Kohen has to say it, but some I think the Rishonim or some people more than Rishonim. No, it's actually maybe some opinions. I don't know what time period they're from, but say that even if the Kohen thinks it, but then you're dealing with really some unknowns. I mean, how do you know what the Kohen was thinking? And he can change his mind. I mean, even if he confesses it, he can change his mind. I mean, I guess he confesses it not, but I mean, how do you know what he's thinking? Let's put it that way. If he doesn't say anything. The first part of the Mishnah discussed one who became ritually impure before entering the temple. The Mishnah proceeds like all these cases too. He remembered when he was in the temple, or he forgot that it was a temple. I mean, this is just him saying it, but how do we know that that's actually what was going on in his mind at the time? It's a question. The first part of the Mishnah discussed one who became ritually impure before entering the temple. The Mishnah proceeds to consider a case involving one who was ritually pure when he entered the temple, but became impure while in the temple courtyard. And afterwards, impurity was hidden from him, but he remembered that he was standing in the temple, or the fact that he was standing in the temple was hidden from him, but he remembered his impurity. Or both this fact and that fact were hidden from him. In all these cases, if he bowed down or tarried in the temple courtyard long enough to bow down, even though he did not actually bow, or he went out by way of a longer route when he could have taken a shorter route, he is liable to bring a sliding scale offering. But if he left the temple via the shortest way, he is exempt. Okay? This mitzvah that the ritually impure must be sent out of the temple is the positive mitzvah concerning the temple, for which, as is taught elsewhere in the Mishnah, Horayot 8b, the Sanhedrin is not liable to bring an offering for an erroneous ruling. Is that par ha'elem davar? I think that's what it is. Anyway, a communal bull sin offering is brought because the unwitting transgression of a prohibition involving an action by the Jewish people resulting from an erroneous halachic decision handed down by a Sanhedrin. I think that's called par ha'elam davar. But if the Sanhedrin mistakenly ruled that one who became impure while in the temple may leave by way of a longer route, they do not bring this offering, as it is brought only for an erroneous ruling over a matter that requires the bringing of a fixed sin offering and not a sliding scale offering for its unwitting violation. Okay? Ve'ezo hi mitzvah aseh shebanida shechayv aleh haya mishamesh im tohiro ve'amra loi nitmeiti ופרש מיד חיים מפני שיציאסו ענה לו כביאסו. And which is the positive mitzvah with regard to a menstruating woman, for which, as is taught in Horayot there, the Sanhedrin is liable to bring a bull offering for an erroneous ruling? If a man was engaging in intercourse with a ritually pure woman, and during the course of their act of intercourse, she experienced menstrual bleeding and said to him, "I have become impure," and unwittingly he immediately withdrew from her and did not wait until his thing became flaccid, he is liable to bring a sin offering for engaging in intercourse with a menstruating woman, because his withdrawal from her is as pleasant to him as his entry. I don't get that one. No, I wouldn't. Why would that be? That would be frustration city. You know, if he's still hard and he basically withdraw, or he can't. Why is that? I don't know. Maybe, I don't get that one. If the Sanhedrin mistakenly ruled that one may withdraw immediately, then they bring a bull offering for their erroneous ruling. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Hasheretz, v'nehela mimenu al helem sheretz chayav, ve'eno chayav al helem mikdash. Rabbi Eliezer says, with regard to the sliding scale offering, the verse states, or if a person touches any impure thing, whether it is the carcass of a non-kosher, undomesticated animal, or the carcass of a non-kosher, domesticated animal, or the carcass of a non-kosher creeping animal, and it is hidden from him, Leviticus 5:2. A precise ruling of this verse indicates that in a case where one has a lapse of awareness that he had contracted ritual impurity by touching a creeping animal, he is liable to bring a sliding scale offering for having defiled the temple or the sacrificial food, but he is not liable to bring such an offering in a case where he has a lapse of awareness that he is entering the temple or partaking of sacrificial food. Rabbi Akiva Omer, v'ne'ela mimenu v'hutameh al helem tuma chayav ve'eno chayav al helem mikdash. Similarly, Rabbi Akiva says, the verse states, and it is hidden from him, so that he is impure, Leviticus 5:2, thereby teaching that in a case when one has a lapse of awareness that he had contracted ritual impurity, he that is liable to bring a sliding scale offering, he is liable to bring a sliding scale offering, but one is not liable to bring such an offering in a case when he has a lapse of awareness that he is entering the temple or partaking of sacrificial food. Rabbi Yishmael Omer, v'ne'elam shtei pamim lechayav al ha'elam tuma ve'al helem mikdash. Rabbi Yishmael says the verse states, and it is hidden from him, Leviticus 5:2, and it states, and it is hidden from him, Leviticus 5:3. It says it twice, in order to render one liable to bring a sliding scale offering both in a case where one has a lapse of awareness that he had contracted ritual impurity, and in a case where one has a lapse of awareness that he's entering the temple. And that's the Mishnah. Now we continue on to the Gemara. Amar Rav Papa le'Abaye. Rav Papa said to Abaye, Shtayim she'en arba, shtayim she'en sheish havian. Idiot HaTumah tchila b'sof, Idiot HaKodesh tchila b'sof, Idiot Mikdash tchila b'sof. The Mishnah teaches that the halachot concerning awareness of ritual impurity are two that are further subdivided into four. Rav Papa said to Abaye, are these actually two states of awareness that are subdivided into four? As the Mishnah lists them, they seem to be two that are subdivided into six. Awareness of impurity. There's another connection, two that are six, it's like 26. And today, it changed to 26. It changed from 24 to 26. Two that are 4, two that are 6. Again, another connection. Awareness of the impurity at the beginning and at the end. Awareness of the sacrificial food at the beginning and at the end. Awareness of the temple at the beginning and the end. Utamech tamne avian ta'ika tumah kodesh v'tumah demikdash techila v'sof. Abaye answered him, according to your reasoning, that you count all the various cases listed in the Mishnah, there are 8 states of awareness, as there is also awareness of the impurity in connection with eating the sacrificial food at the beginning and at the end, and awareness of the impurity in connection with entering the temple at the beginning and at the end. The Mishnah mentions awareness of the impurity both in the first clause, which is discussing partaking of sacrificial food, and in the second clause, which discusses entering the temple. Ha loy kashya, shem tuma achasi, komakom shi tabian. Rav Papa refutes this. This is not difficult, as the status of ritual impurity carries one name in both cases. The person was aware that he had contracted ritual impurity, and then it became hidden from him. And there's no reason to distinguish between impurity in connection with partaking of sacrificial food and impurity with entering the temple. It's just impurity. If you're impure, you're impure. Accordingly, Rav Papa's first question remains. In any case, there are still 6 states of awareness. Amar Rav Papa le'oilam tamni havyan arba'a kamaita lo maitan lidei korban loko chashiv arba'a bitrayata de maitan lidei korban kochashiv. Rav Papa said in answer to his own question, actually there are 8 states of awareness. 2 of the impurity in connection with partaking of sacrificial food, 2 of the impurity in connection with entering the temple, 2 of awareness of the sacrificial food, and 2 of awareness of the temple. Each pair having 1 awareness at the beginning and at the end. But first 4 states of awareness at the beginning do not in themselves bring the unwitting transgressor to liability to bring an offering. As if he does not reach awareness at the end, he will not have known that he had transgressed. Therefore, the Tana does not count them. But the Tana does count the last 4 states of awareness, which bring the unwitting transgressor to the liability to bring an offering. Bikadamri. There are those that say that Rav Papa said, Bikadamri Rav Papa l'oilam tamni havyan arba kamaisa. Titanu b'chol terikula kachashiv arba b'travai b'traita. Titanu b'chol toira kula lo kachashiv. And there are those who say that Rav Papa said as follows. Actually, there are 8 states of awareness, and it is the first 4 states of awareness at the beginning which are not found in the entire Torah. That the Tana counts. In all other instances where one is liable to bring an offering for an unwitting transgression, it is not necessary that there be any awareness at the beginning. Since this is a novel requirement, the Tana counts these states of awareness. But the Tana does not count the last 4 states of awareness at the end, which are found also in the entire Torah, as a standard sin offering is brought when one is made aware after the fact that he had transgressed. Okay. Have to over here. Continuing on. Boy Rav Papa asked Namu Imenu Elchosema Mahu Hechidami Idem Delo Yada Yisher Tamim Tzolea Tame Zil Keribe Ravu Die 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 I think we're holding by the 189th take. It was going to come up pretty soon. Pretty sure. 188 was Mako's 19b. Okay. All right. Or it's 198, either one. Okay. We'll have to clarify that later. But anyways, Rav Papa. Okay. The more you try to define the awareness of the impurity mentioned in the Mishnah, Rav Papa raised the dilemma. If the halachot of impurity became hidden from him, what is the halacha? Is he liable to bring a slightly scaling offering in such a situation? The Gemara asks, what are the circumstances of the case under discussion? If we say that he did not know whether a creeping animal is impure or pure, or whether a frog is impure or pure, this is a topic that you could go learn in a children's school. As these matters are explicitly recorded in the Torah, they can never be considered hidden. Le'olam diyada b'tumashel. It's going in alam keda adasha. V'lo yada keda adasha. I metame I lo metame mai. Kivan diyada b'tamashel z'olam yediya hi o dilma. Kivan dikadash lo yada I metame I lo metame ha'alama hi teku. Okay, this teku should be either the 188th or the 198th, depending on where you put Makos and Shevuos. In the other one, in his book, Reb Peston's book, he puts Shevuos before Makos. So in that case, it's the 188th. It really is the 198th, I believe, or something like that. But anyway, we'll have to go over that later. But anyway, actually, Rav Papa must be asking about a case where he knew the essential halakha with regard to the ritual impurity of a creeping animal. And it is a case where he touched a portion of the animal that was a lentil bulk, and he did not know the halakha, concerning whether a portion that was of a lentil bulk renders a person impure or does not render him impure. What is the halakha in such a case? The Gemara explains the two possibilities. Does one say that since he knows generally that a creeping animal renders a person impure, is it awareness? Or perhaps one says that since he does not know whether a portion that was a lentil bulk renders a person impure or does not render a person impure, it is considered hidden from him. The Gemara comments, Teku. Okay, so this is either the 189th, the last one was 198, this should be 189 or 199, depending on where you put Shevuos. But I mean, Pashtus is 199 because I think, yeah. I'm not sure. Let's look in his book. I guess I have a take on that as well. Boy Rabbi Bein Bavel she'ala l'Eretz Yisrael v'ne'ela mimenu b'geshmahu. Rabbi Jeremiah or Yirmiyah raised a dilemma concerning the awareness of the temple. If a Babylonian or resident of another country ascended to Eretz Yisrael and the site of the temple was hidden from him, so that he unwittingly entered into the temple in a state of impurity, or halacha? Is he liable to bring a sliding scale offering to atone for his offense or not? Alima deman. Iya livet Rabbi Kiva b'bayit yebetchila v'hola Mechayev al-hel mikdash. Iya livet Rabbi Shimon Mechayev al-hel mikdash. Haloi b'bayit yebetchila. The Gemara clarifies the accordance with whose opinion was this lemma raised. If it was raised in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Kiva, who requires that there be awareness at the beginning in order for one to become liable to bring an offering that is difficult, as Rabbi Kiva does not deem one liable when he had a lapse awareness that he was entering the temple. And if the dilemma was raised in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Ishmael, who deems one liable when he had a lapse awareness that he was entering the temple, that is difficult, as Rabbi Ishmael does not require that there be awareness at the beginning. According to both Tanaim, the dilemma is not relevant. Lo tzricha. Ali Rabbi Debai Yediyah B'tchila M'chayv Al Herem Mikdash V'ya Amar Yediyat Beis Rabo Shma Yediyah Mai Kevan Diyada Yikam Mikdash B'oilam Yediyah Hi Odilma Kevan B'kam Elo Yadalei Alamehi Tegu. This is like the 190th or the 190th or the 200th. Tegu. The Gemara explains, no, it is necessary to raise the lemma and only according to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, who requires awareness at the beginning and also deems one liable when he had a lapse of awareness that he was entering the temple, and he also says the awareness that one gains in the house of his teacher is called awareness, C5a. What is the halakha in such a case? The Gemara explains the two possibilities. Does one say that since he knows that there is a temple someplace in the world, it is awareness, or perhaps one says that since he does not know the precise location of the temple, it is considered hidden from him. The Gemara comments, this dilemma shall stand unresolved. Okay, so it's the 190th or the 200th. The Mishnah teaches the same halakha applies to one who enters the area that was part of the original temple courtyard, and to one who enters the later addition to the temple courtyard, as additions can be made to the city of Jerusalem or to the temple courtyards only by a special body comprising the king and prophet, the Urim Tumim, and the Sanhedrin of 71 judges, and with 2 thanksgiving offerings and a special song. The Gemara asks, from where is this matter derived? Shimi Bar Chia said, as the verse states, according to all that I show you, the form of the tabernacle and the form of all its vessels,